Welcome to Impact and Influence, the podcast for real estate business owners and professionals who are ready to make a bigger impact, scale, have greater sustainability, and increase their influence. This series opens the door to the sharpest minds across the industry, including agency owners, advisors, and trusted partners who share real-world insights and lessons learnt. These are short, practical conversations designed to save you time, sharpen your strategy, and help you build a business by design, not by default. If you're responsible for growth, profit, client experience, leadership, recruitment, or retention, this podcast is your go-to for smarter choices and more decisive leadership. It's proudly presented by REGROWTH. We are a coaching and consulting business for the real estate arena. We help you build on capability, connection, and curiosity.
Welcome back to the next episode of Impact and Influence with REGROWTH Consultancy. Today we are joined by Scott Bailey from Bailey in the Hunter Valley. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Lauren. Pleasure.
Fifth generation real estate agent. That's pretty impressive.
Well, it is, yeah. Or you could say that how could a family be so stupid to do this profession 5 generations in a row?
Because you love it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it is pretty special.
For those that don't know Bailey or you or the Hunter Valley, can you give us an outline or a quick snapshot, please, of your business and I guess the story over the 5 generations quickly, how you came to be in your role?
Lauren's quite right. We have been going for 5 generations in Singleton here in the Hunter Valley. So my great-great-great-grandfather, William Bailey, there was 3 brothers that were doing whatever they were doing around Wiseman's Ferry there on the Hawkesbury River, and they must have decided collectively that there wasn't much doing there, so they trekked up the Putty Road and decided to put up their mantle at Singleton. One became a butcher, one bought a bit of country here at Singleton, and they're still here with some country running cattle. And the 3rd brother, William, decided to open his own stock and station agency and try his hand at selling cattle. So that's how we evolved. And over the years, so obviously William started up, then there was Gordon, Les, Don, my grandfather, Max, my father, and myself. And we've just evolved with the business as the needs of our community have changed. My grandfather actually sold out to what is now Nutrien, but back in the day was known as Wesfarmers Dalgety. So Max, my father, had to start up again from scratch. And then in 2004, we actually bought the old family name back. It came up for sale, W. Bailey and Sons. So we put that back under the umbrella. That's a very quick snapshot of the journey. And and we're still going to this day. Ava, my beautiful daughter, is at uni for a couple of years, but is coming back into the business, which is very exciting. So she'll be the 6th generation.
That's very cool.
Who you know quite well.
I do. And when did you start in the business, Scott?
Yeah, so I came into the business in October 1997. So in October this year, that's 28 years I've been doing this, which 47 years of age. So I've been doing it the bulk of my existence. And in addition to that, grew up in the business as well. So I'd go to sleep at night listening to my father have conversations through the gyprock wall or in the car with him.
Pretty good training ground.
With the old Motorola leather bags that they used to carry around, thinking they were pretty smart with the new mobile phones. But yeah, so I don't really know anything but.
Yeah. And you've always, just for some context, you've always been in sales and been that kind of selling, you're still that selling principal?
Yeah, not always. So I started off going down the road doing land economics, going down to become like a registered valuer, and then fell back into the family business in that livestock area. Just really focusing on the livestock side of things, auctioneering, handling our livestock clients, and then the livestock part of our business is really susceptible to drought and can really, really hurt our business. We decided to grow the real estate arm and the rent roll in order to drought-proof our business. And then I just sort of fell into that side of the business as I was trying to grow that part of it.
Yeah.
And as the business has expanded, I've been able to build a team in livestock that take care of it and just pretty well operate where I want to, which is rural property, commercial property, and then any other spare time that I have, just leadership roles and mentoring and helping the team and that sort of stuff. Basically a BDM for the entire business. So if I sort of win business, I'll just drip feed it wherever it needs to go within the business.
Yeah, awesome. I want to talk about the team, but you mentioned something just before around evolving the business with the community needs. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I thought that was really interesting.
Well, back when William decided to start in 1896, the main street was gravel and everyone was in horse and sulky, and no one things were very different. So, and things are changing all the time still today as we speak, and the community's needs always change. So, back then it was really just selling a few cows, pigs and goats and what have you, and maybe the odd farm. But now, like, we've got the mining industry here now. We're now under 2 hours to Wahroonga, under an hour to Newcastle's beaches, Maitland and Rutherford, and that whole Newcastle area is the quickest growing city in the country. So the needs of our little business, or the needs of the community on our little business, is always changing. So over the last 130 odd years, whatever that's been, it's changed immensely. And I guess over the next 130 years, it'll be very, very different.
It will be.
It'll be interesting to see the role of the agent 130 years from now, won't it, Lauren?
Oh, I wish I would be around to see it.
Yeah.
Community is obviously a really big part of your business, and being a regional town that you're in, like the community, I suppose, has helped grow your business as well. How is that impactful in your business and being part of the community, and what do you do to be a part of that community?
Yeah, we're very big on that, because it's like we have been part of the community for a very long time, as we just touched on at the outset of the interview. And like we are building a business, like so many do, to build it up and sell it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's very, very good and very cool, and people have done so well doing that. But that's currently not part of our DNA. So it's a very long-term view, a very slow burn, a very much focused on the connections we make and the relationships that we make in the community, and making sure that we have a positive impact on the community, and making sure that we give back and don't just take.
Yeah.
So that's a really big thing. We're doing a community auction this weekend, where it's like a community charity auction where everyone's bringing in their excess machinery, furniture, whatever, at the Singleton Showground, and our team donating their time and just conducting that entire day, raising money for Dementia Australia. But whatever we raise from that day will go straight to Dementia, and our business takes nothing out of it. So we do a lot of that sort of stuff, a lot of charity auctions, obviously sponsor every team in the district, I think. But we are very conscious about putting back. You can't be all take and expect not to give anything in return.
Yeah, and that aligns to who you are as a person, because I've known you for a long time now, and the values of your business. Now, I love when you walk into your office, like a lot of businesses, your values are on the wall. But I know it's not for you. It's not just about words on the wall. It's about a lot more. So can you talk about your values and how that helps drive your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really important to have all your processes and procedures and all that sort of stuff set. And you and Kylie do a fantastic job in guiding people around that. But we tend to try and keep it really, really simple. We've got all that stuff too, but I think sometimes that can really overcomplicate things, and you can get bogged down with the detail and, procrastinate, I beg your pardon, around what you need to do and everything. So it's like when you play a game of rugby or play a game of netball, you can pretty well do what you want out in the field, can't you, or on the court. You can pretty well run around autonomously and play the game by instinct, but there are rules, like you can't step out of that line there, or you've got to be in the, what's it called, Lauren, the shooter's circle.
It's been a while. Yes.
When you so there's rules that you have to abide by. Well, we like to think that our business is like that. We don't micromanage our people. We let them play the game autonomously out there in the field and do their very best, but governed by our why and our values. So our why is very, very simple, and it's all about the connection we make human to human and ensuring that we have a positive impact on people's lives. So whether that's someone buying a property, selling a cow, renting a property, a property owner who's leasing their property through us, whatever it takes to make sure that we leave that person, you know, in a better way through dealing with our business. And that links with our values. So they're really, really simple, and every value relates back to a story that I can tell about my parents, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
So when a new recruit starts, I go through each value and then, you know, tell a story about why that is a value. Like my father, who was the greatest man, like Max Donald Bailey. He was a big man with a deep voice and a very, very direct, assertive man, but also very kind and compassionate beneath that hard exterior. So one of our values really aligns with him, and we can't say no bullshit, but one of our values is no bull. Like, just tell the truth. Just don't bloody bullshit people and carry on with smoke and mirrors. Just, you know, shoot people straight. You know, and that's one of our values, which, quite simply, if you're caught lying, you'll get sacked.
Yeah.
But we don't go around saying that, but people know that we use these values. And the next one is always uphold a positive mindset. So if you want to step into our business and be a negative Nancy or a negative Norm, organically, you just won't last.
Yeah.
Because it's all about, you know, making sure you have a positive impact. And that really starts with yourself. How you want to be by yourself as a human will then be this big revolving sort of process. If you want to turn up and be a negative Norm or a negative Nancy, that will rub off with your colleagues, your teammates. And then if they're going to be negative, well, that'll rub off on the clients, experiencing that negativity with them. And if you're going to be negative with your clients, you're going to create negative experience and issues with your clients. And then that in turn will have a negative impact on your business, which will have a negative impact on profit and growth and everything. And it's this big vicious circle, if that makes sense. So always uphold a positive mindset. And we don't go around saying, you know, KPIs on that or anything, but it's,
yeah.
Another one is always go the extra mile. So the little things that count. The only difference between doing something ordinary and doing something extraordinary, if you look at that word on paper, is just that one word on the front, extra. Extraordinary, ordinary. So it's all about doing those little tiny extra bits and pieces that make a big impact. It might be, instead of giving someone a settlement gift, which is a big branded esky or something, it might be in the middle of winter and it might be -2 degrees, and you might actually drop off some kindling and cut up firewood if there's a slow combustion fireplace. That'll pack more of a punch than some branded stubby cooler or something.
Yeah. And that's
Little
what I love
things like
about
that.
your business is it's not just the words, it's the actions behind them. And, you know, again, we all talk about values, but it's not just the word or the 1 or 2 or 4 words that we have on the wall. It's how does that drive it? And yeah, I love just your explanations and the passion behind what you're saying around those values, and knowing your team and knowing that they also truly believe in those. Can I ask you, have those values ever changed? Or have they always been the same? Just curious. No right or wrong.
Well, I think we first did them years ago. I think, I'm talking, 15, 20 years ago. And I think when we first did them, we had a team meeting and there was like 10 of them. It was really, there was heaps of them. It was just too convoluted and long-winded. So we probably could, we've got 5 now, and it probably should be 3, really. You could probably morph 2 or 3 of them into another one.
The team can blame me for that when you do that.
They've probably always been similar, but probably just a little bit too long-winded in the past.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So as a leader in a business, when those values are challenged, that's always a really confronting time. And I know in the last couple of years, you have been challenged as a leader. And you can share as much of this story, as little as this story as you like. But can you, maybe just share with us some of the lessons that you've learnt in that leadership space when you are challenged, and what you've done to kind of turn things around for your business and your team?
Yeah. Look, I think any business owner has their fair share of challenges. Everyone's got their cross to bear and everyone's got a story to tell. and we all have issues that we've got to overcome. And running a business can be lonely. Being a leader can be extremely lonely. Everyone likes to think that they might like to do it, or it might be easy or whatever. It's not easy, and it's fantastic. It's great. It's very rewarding, and I'm so grateful for everything that our team and our business gives myself and our family. That's great, but yeah, you do get tested, and I often come back to our values, and one big one is back yourself and back each other. So at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, whether it's like that monumental thing that happened to us or anything, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Now, I never use the word I always use the word we. It's always the team. There's no I in team. It's always like, I'll never even type a letter and start it with I. It's always we, because you are nothing without your team. Like, it's all about the people you surround yourself with. But as a leader, every now and then, when push comes to shove, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Someone's got to take the lead, and you've got to stand tall. Like, as a leader, you don't have to be, remarkably extraordinary all the time. But there's times when you have to, look in the mirror and be aware of the fact that, okay, this is one of those times where I need to be outstanding.
Yeah.
And I need to really stand up here. I need to switch on, and this could take 2 hours, or this could take 6 months, or this could take 2 months. You need to sort of be aware of how long you need to, and that thing that we went through, I was tipping that I needed to be outstanding for 6 months, which I did concentrate on. And we're now sort of, so we're coming up 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's 2 years ago now. Yeah, and for those people listening, what we're talking about here, for those of you that don't know, we were sailing along really well, and we had a salesperson who had been selling residential houses in our business for 19 years. And I was coming to work one day and got a phone call from a private number that ended up being a local detective here at Singleton, giving me the early drop that one of our team members was arrested last night, and he was arrested for setting up micro cameras in his de facto's sort of children's bathroom, and basically, all that sort of carrying on. So it was, a small community. Word travels quick. So obviously we had to, sack him immediately and then deal with the aftermath of all that. So that was what I'm talking about. Like, I won't go into it, but it was pretty extreme.
It was extreme,
Yeah, and thankfully the community was overwhelmingly supportive. I didn't know what to expect, and it was actually a blessing in disguise. It wasn't very well packaged as a gift, but it was a blessing because it allowed us to, that person in question, I probably knew that I never expected that he would be doing what he was doing, but he probably was never aligned with myself as a human and our values. So it taught me that, one of the biggest lessons in business is always follow your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Never, ever ignore your gut. I don't know what the physics or the biochemistry is behind that, but your gut never lies. And there was always something a bit, we used to fight a lot, and little things, nothing like what he ended up doing, but it just taught me that, okay, if there's some sort of misalignment there, just nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
But that, getting back to what the question was about, was, I knew I needed to be right on exactly when I wanted to go and hide under a rock.
Yeah, that's
which is what I wanted to do and disappear. I knew I couldn't do that, and I had to stand tall and, face things head on. And there was too many people relying on me with a team of, 20 plus people, and my family, their families. I couldn't just go and hide under a rock. I had to get the job done.
And credit to you, because, I know it's been a long 2 years for you and the team, and that is now in the past. And that's why, whilst it's important, because there's lots of lessons from that, you've retained a team in that time, and you've all moved forward together, I think is fair to say. I mean, you know better than I do. And as you said, you've kind of come out the other side stronger for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whilst we wish we didn't have to go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it didn't just stop at his house. Like, we got over the initial turbulence of, having that lumped on our desk. And then a month later, we found out that he had cameras set up in the ladies' toilet at our office. So that involved my wife, my daughter. So how do you think I felt?
Can't imagine.
So I had to sort of not exude any fury or I won't tell you what I wanted to do, but I had to control that. So I had to, make sure that I turned up in the workplace exuding a persona that, okay, we're in this together, we can get through this, when all I wanted to do was go on a manhunt.
Yeah.
But so through that, the team became very, very strong.
Yeah.
And, the people affected, so resilient. And, I'm so proud and, inspired by how they handle themselves.
Yeah.
And, it just was a really big learning curve for me, that you never know what to expect. And my mother used to say something that I sort of spent a lot of my life saying, no, you can't, because you become a product of your thoughts. I'm big on making sure that you think positive and making sure that, all that stuff. And my mother used to always say, Scotty, pride goeth before a fall. And what have you ever heard that?
I've never heard that.
Yeah, well, what that means is that never get too cocky and never get too complacent, because when you get complacent, that's when something normally goes wrong. Whenever you get too cocky, that's when something normally goes wrong. So always stay humble, never get too big for your boots, pride goeth before a fall. And that was exactly like me driving to town that day. The business was going well, everything was good. I was probably in a bit of a complacent place where I wasn't pushing the boundaries and getting out of my comfort zone, and and then bang, that happens. So look for the gift. That was the gift.
Yeah.
Wake up and just really, really start. It's not that my eyes were off the ball.
No.
When you run a business and you're battling with profit and loss and cash flow and trying to do things, and you've got a salesperson that's just bringing in $600,000 to $800,000, no problem, no questions asked, per annum gross fees. It's sort of like the performer. You don't need to have one-on-ones with them every day and manage them. If they're performing at that level, and $600,000 to $800,000 gross fees per annum in a little country town is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sure anyone would agree. You don't really, but it taught me that, okay, they're doing their numbers, but what's going on? Let's dig deep. Let's, what conversations they're having with people, how they're treating people, and if there's a little bit of misalignment there, irrespective of whether they bring in $2 million per annum, get rid of them.
Yeah, it's not always about the income, is it?
It's not always about the income and the profit. And that's hard, because when you're growing a business and you need the money, it's very easy to turn a blind eye to that. But
absolutely.
I'll never do it again.
Yeah. What's the saying that the behaviour you walk past is the behaviour you accept or becomes acceptable? And it is like, and we've all, I don't know, many business owners that have sat, there and gone, oh, look, I don't, there's something not right with that salesperson, but they're my top performer. So we'll just put up with it and we'll allow it. And they might be rude. So many examples I could give, but you're right in saying don't just put up with it.
I think it's what you condone is what becomes your standard. Something like that was the saying, and it's so true. But I'm so blessed and happy now that our team, I went to a training seminar once about management leadership, and I forget the actual ins and outs of it, but it was really, really good, because I think a lot of people will resonate with this. When you're in business and things go wrong, it's like you're always trying to stay ahead of the curve and, trying to get ahead of whatever's going to go wrong and debunk that before it happens. So it's almost like you look around your team if you get burned a few times and go, righto, what are you up to, you bugger? It's almost like everyone's guilty until proven innocent.
Yep.
You got to flip that. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty. And it's almost like you're not happy unless you got someone in the bad basket. You know what I mean? Like you sort of, if everything's going really, really well and the whole team's great, no, that couldn't be true. There must be something going on here. It's really hard to get out of that mindset, and that's where we're at now. We've got a fantastic team, which is wonderful. But you got to balance that with, okay, that's good. Well, let's just keep going and pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Pride goeth before a fall.
I love that.
Just keep your eye on the ball. And, there's probably a few things in our business now that, we could work on. And one of the other sort of lessons I've learned, which is really easy not to do, that is always drift towards the tension. Don't drift away from it. So if there's something brewing, some little issue, go and nip it in the butt, quick smart.
Yeah.
Don't just ignore it and let it fester.
It's only going to get worse, isn't it?
I've done that heaps over the years, and it's only blown up. So, yeah.
Scott, thank you. There have been so many lessons throughout that entire conversation. Normally, I would wrap up and say, what's your one lesson for someone starting out in leadership? But I think you've given us ample throughout that. So I won't ask my final question, but I will say thank you, firstly, for your honesty and sharing your story. But secondly, in just, like all of those lessons, I think I sit here as a leader in a business and think to myself, yes, like I need to keep reminding myself. And it is, often just taking a step back, isn't it? And going, okay, like, yes, we're moving forward and yes, we're, making changes, but like keep check and keep reminding ourselves of those little things that will help us as leaders in business.
Absolutely.
Scott, thank you. Appreciate your time.
No problem. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Impact and Influence. Click follow to get notified about future episodes. Leaving a review helps others find the podcast. And to learn more about our courses, our study tours, conferences, keynote topics and our services, or how simply we might be able to help support you in taking you to places you never thought possible, please visit regrowthkyliewalsh.com.